welcome back to the Sesh. I'm Kendall Ray.
I'm Janelle. Welcome to episode 11. We're super stoked to have you here because today we're doing a spooky sesh.
Yes, spooky
sesh. Creepy. We're really excited about this one. We wanted to bring Halloween into the sesh world somehow, but not, in a way that's typical like Mile High or Your Channel or Lights Out, where it's like really intense and really dark. Yeah. So we're going to be telling like old spooky stories from history that are true, supposedly. So.
Yeah. It shouldn't get too scary, but it'll definitely give you a little spook.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing as dark as we normally cover. They're not really crimes either.
No, not.
I mean, kind of are.
One of mine is, but not in like a typical way we would cover crime at all.
But we know you guys love this type of stuff. Obviously, we know most of our audience comes from Mile Higher or my channel. So you definitely, you're not new to this type of content at all.
Exactly.
So also next week, we are going to be doing another spooky sesh. And we wanted to do something interactive with you guys that we've been thinking about doing for a while, but with quarantine and everything, this year Halloween is going to be pretty lame for most people. Yeah. I don't know how many people are even dressing up or carving pumpkins because I don't think there'll be trick-or-treaters.
Yeah, I don't know if there's trick-or-treaters. I have no idea if that's like a thing or if it depends on where you live. I'm sure some people are still going to go out and do it. But I think overall the vibe of Halloween is definitely different. You can't deny that.
Yeah, for sure. So we wanted to give you guys a reason to want to dress up or maybe carve a pumpkin and bring a little fun into your life. So we are going to host a little contest and we wanted to rank your pumpkins, your Halloween costumes, and your dog costumes.
Or pet costumes. Cats are invited. Or other pets too, like a bunny perhaps.
That's true. Yeah. All pets allowed, animal costumes. So there'll be 3 winners, 1 for each category. And we want you guys to submit these on social media. So either Twitter or Instagram. We're not on Facebook. Sorry, it's a cesspool. I don't want to go on there. So we're going to do Instagram and Twitter using a hashtag spooky sesh. You can submit and we'll be able to figure out, which contest you're submitting for based on the picture.
Yes.
And they can be anything, it would be cool to have it maybe Mile Higher themed or sesh themed or true crime themed or just Halloween themed. I mean, whatever you want to do, sky's the limit. But we're going to be voting on our favorite pumpkin carving of the year, our favorite dog costume, and human costume.
And if for some reason you're not, dressing up this year, but you had a costume in the past years that where you're like, oh my God, that's so good. I really want to show it. Like, obviously you can submit your old ones too. Because we know that not everyone is like going full on costume hunting and shopping this year and stuff. So
preferred this year.
Yeah,
and if you can prove that it's this year, bonus points.
You dress up like 2020, just a pile of shit.
Dude, that would be good. Honestly, a 2020 costume would be pretty good.
Wow, you look like trash. What are you for Halloween 2020?
Honestly, not a bad idea. So yeah, more creative the better. Funny, scary, anything you want. Just have fun with it, and you can submit by posting it to Twitter or Instagram with hashtag spooky sesh, which is, SPOOKYSESH, just to make sure no one is confused.
Yes.
Also, you can tag us at _Sesh Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. That way we can see it. And if you actually tag us on Instagram, that will be the easiest. But if you use the hashtag, at the very least, we'll be able to find it.
Yes.
So yeah. And also, you must be following our social media to enter.
Yeah. Follow us on social media.
And of course, we have some little prizes. We don't have merch yet, which we wanted to give away merch. We're still working on merch.
Which, by the way, the ideas we have are fucking cute, y'all. I'm just telling you, it's going to be really exciting.
And I want to know what you guys have as far as merch ideas.
What do you want to see? What would you rep the most for sesh attire, if you will?
Yeah, we're working on our first drop. So let us know about that. But since we don't have merch yet, we're going to just be doing 3 Starbucks gift cards for $25 a piece. And hopefully that's, you can get some fall drinks.
Get yourself a PSL, everybody.
Gotta get your PSL. I have not had a PSL this year. Have you?
Fuck no, I don't drink those. They're gross.
They're disgusting.
I'm just a espresso over the ice type of bitch with some sweet cream.
Simple. Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
I like a little salted caramel though for
tapping into that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely more into the caramel, apples, like cinnamon shit rather than like the pumpkin.
Agree. I'm not a big pumpkin person.
Yeah. I'm like, I like pumpkin bread and pumpkin pie. That's it. I don't need to be drinking it. Yeah. Personally.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into our spicy topics of the week.
Spicy.
Yes.
We have some spicy things going on, you guys. There's been a few things.
Yeah, there has. Starting with Vanessa Hudgens is in the news because she's facing backlash after posting a photo in a cemetery. Now, this is kind of interesting because she's certainly not the first one to do this.
Certainly not.
But I guess back on the 10th of October, so like a few days ago when we're recording this, the actor shared photos of herself posing in New York's Sleepy Hollow Cemetery while wearing black vest, a matching shirt. She's like all in black, black tights, black gloves, a face mask, of course. And she kind of has this pose where she's like, I don't know. It's not like a serious pose by any means. I'll throw it up on the screen, but it's kind of, lighthearted. And she's like, kind of looks like she's
flipping her hair.
Yeah, flipping her hair. And the caption says "Happy Place." And people were really pissed off about this. Like immediately she started getting comments saying like, why would you pose in the cemetery of a, quote, happy place? Someone was like, am I the only one that finds this disrespectful? Someone said, your happy place is a burial place for someone's loved ones, someone's sad place. That's dark.
It is dark, but that is reality for some people. I know several people. I've heard of several people that like cemeteries, like to hang out there. Personally, it gives me the creeps.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are really beautiful historical cemeteries.
Yeah. And that's what she kind of made the argument is, I guess afterwards she changed it to like searching for a headless horseman instead of my happy place, but then people were still mad. So then she ended up commenting and being like, I buried my father in a cemetery. I love cemeteries. They're beautiful, especially that one. It's historical and I love history. And if you look at like the hashtag on Instagram, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, the one that she went to, it's been used more than 10,000 times. And there's a fuck ton of pictures of like girls, especially like dressed up as witches and shit and doing like full on photo shoots in there. So it's definitely not the first time that has happened, but people are very mad about it.
Well, I think what people are really mad about and what she's missing is the taking pictures of it. It's like one thing to be into cemeteries and like to hang out there. It's another thing to do a bunch of photos, and that's what I think people are mad that she's posting it to social media. However, I don't know how I feel about it personally. I have taken a photo, I guess, in a cemetery, in a really old one from when I was in Scotland. It was beautiful, and I think I posted it to Instagram. I don't know if I was in a cemetery, but they may not have actually been in the background, the tombstones.
Sure.
Do you remember? I can't remember.
I don't know.
But I didn't get any backlash for that. And I think a lot of people take pictures in these places. I mean, they are historical. A lot of them are beautiful. And if you're into that creepy vibe, I mean, like I said, to me, I think death can be beautiful.
Yeah, I remember you speaking that on our previous episode about like death and dying and what happens after us. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it below. It's a good one. Check it out. But yeah, you mentioned a lot about how, there's something to be said about living your full life and being honored once you leave. And maybe that's what they're doing. But I mean, if you look, like I said, like if you look at the hashtag Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, there's like straight up girls like in witch costumes, like posing.
See, that's what gets me when they're trying to make it like a Halloween thing. Would they do this if this was a new graveyard, last 50 years? Would you pose next to a child's grave that just died of cancer 3 years ago?
Right.
How old does something have to be for us to be so removed from it that we think it's okay to use it as a prop?
Yeah.
Because it is someone's final resting place.
Sure.
So I totally get the argument for that being distasteful, especially taking pictures of it and in the whole black outfit and posing and flipping your hair. Like, I see where she went wrong. I think you can maybe take a picture like this, especially if you were by a loved one's grave.
Yeah.
Or if you're just sitting there normal and posing and it's more of like, check out where I am, this cool historical place, but using it as a prop and prancing around in a black outfit, that's where I'm a little
like having a full on photo shoot for your Instagram.
Yeah.
Is that what the purpose of these historical cemeteries are for?
No, that's not the purpose, but I can see how people are really mixed on this because I can see how she didn't have bad intent. It's not like she wanted to exploit them.
Right.
I can also see the offense though.
Sure, absolutely. Well, she's certainly not the first celebrity to do it either. Back in 2018, Katherine Heigl actually went to a cemetery in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo? Jeez. Buffalo, New York. And I guess she was visiting her grandparents and as well as her brother's grave. And really she took... Kendall really can't get over the buffalo.
That was really funny. Okay, but she went to her grandparents and brother's grave,
yeah,
right?
And she started taking like a bunch of pictures and hers were like, I feel like really obnoxious if you want to, you know, if you think that Vanessa's were annoying, like hers were straight up like mocking it almost. And people were pissed off at that. But I guess later she posted an IG Instagram like video being like, look, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize how disrespectful it is. I obviously can understand how, you know, bad that is. And
that was a bad look for her. Yeah. But she clearly, you know, she realized it quick. She removed them all really fast. And I remember she made a video. I remember when all that happened. I really like Katherine Heigl.
Yeah, me too. I like her a lot.
I don't think she would have intentionally done anything, but it was super, super disrespectful. The way she's posing with them, like, it's so bad. It's so, so bad. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's something that we should not normalize doing photo shoots in graveyards for fun. And
I'm
using
taking
them as
my
props.
prom pictures next to my dead grandpa, guys.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. I don't think we should head down that road. So I think it's good that Vanessa got a little pushback on that.
For sure.
Nothing that she needs to be like forever canceled over. But not super good look. But yeah, so the next story, this has been very viral on the YouTubes, in the YouTube world. If you follow YouTube or beauty YouTube at all, you probably have heard of this, maybe. I don't know how big, it's not as big as like the Tati James
Of course
thing.
not. Nothing is as big as that. Dramageddon is the king forever.
It makes me so tired. So this week, glam&gore is in the news because this girl, which if you don't know glam&gore, I didn't really know her, to be honest. I've never seen her videos. I knew of her. I knew she existed, but I've never seen it.
No, I've never watched any of her videos or anything.
So I have no personal opinion on her at all. This was kind of my intro to her, so that's not great. But this girl named Spanky, I'm not sure what her first name is actually. She goes by Spanky.
But then her YouTube channel is named Swoop.
It was Spanky, and now it's Swoop. She made another one. Right. She had the Spanky channel originally, and then I believe something happened with that, some glitch or something, and then she made the Swoop one.
She hit a certain amount of subscribers, and then all of a sudden she like couldn't gain more subscribers and had to delete her channel and start over.
Stuck or something.
I was like, if that happened to
that's insane.
Me, like if it happened to the Sesh or like your channel or something, I would be so fucking mad. Oh my god.
I think she was, and I think that was a pretty big thing when she made another channel and she got a bunch of new subscribers and anything. Anyway, that's totally irrelevant to this story. But she recently made a video and she basically exposed glam&gore, which her name is Mikey. I don't know her last name.
I don't know either.
But she said that she displayed microaggressions towards her and towards the LGBTQIA community, and just has been, accused her of several different things. And I'll just kind of go off memory. I did watch Spanky's video, and I think that if you're curious about the situation, you should watch her video because I think she can explain it obviously so much better than us.
Yeah. Well, also we're two white women, so we cannot even remotely pretend to feel like we know what the fuck she's going through. Spanky is a black woman. I'm not sure if you guys, for those who haven't seen her. So that's kind of why this whole thing started, was because she was friends with glam&gore, and she had said that, throughout their friendship, she had experienced some microaggressions and racism towards herself, and then she also saw it happening to other folks as well.
And she's just been staying silent about it. But she recently was very frustrated with Mikey because she has been super active when it comes to BLM and publicly speaking up about politics and stuff, and has kind of become kind of a social justice tweeter or Instagrammer. So she was feeling frustrated that behind the scenes she wasn't feeling supported as her black friend, and was concerned about some of the other things that she was saying about other communities as well. And also, I want to make it clear that we are not a drama podcast in any way. No. We do not want to talk about people's personal issues. The only reason we are talking about this is because there are several important aspects to this that should be discussed. Aside from, her as a person. Her actions need to be looked at. We need to talk about them. And, I know a lot of people think that this is just internet drama, but I think it's much bigger than that, especially what was said. I think it's very important. And of course, when a black woman speaks about her experience, we all need to listen. It's not our place to tell her
whether or not she's valid for speaking out or not.
Or whether she should have.
Exactly.
I think it makes sense. And she said that she did try to do this behind the scenes before she brought it to the internet. She wrote this whole explanation in the description box of her video that explains, I had tried to tell her several times. She explains it, like there's paragraphs of all the things she did. She just didn't talk about it in the video because she was already going on for like an hour or so.
Well, the way that the video was presented was very, I thought, like, in a professional way, in a way that was like, I'm just letting you guys know this because I feel like, you know, we as, you know, viewers deserve to understand really who this person is. And obviously the current events that are happening in our world right now, it's absolutely unacceptable to not call out racism.
Yeah.
And so I don't think she was doing it to like add to the tea community or to, you know, get a quick viral video out or something like that. Like, it seemed like it was very well thought out, and it was with the intention of not just trying to like get views or like clickbait or anything.
I don't
like
think
that.
so either. I think it's a much bigger issue than that. Yeah. And in fact, she explains why she felt the need to publicly speak out. And we're going to play a clip from her because she can say it so much better than us.
This is not some petty personal problem. This is something that is much, much bigger than me. This is an ongoing problem that oppresses all of us. I think what's most insidious are the microaggressions that happen behind closed doors and are not brought to light. If we do not address these behaviors, then we will not evolve to a place of equality for all of us.
All right. So a lot of you are probably wondering, what did she actually do? What is Spanky upset about if you haven't seen the video? So it starts back in 2014. She did a Rihanna inspired makeup look where she showed people how to make it look like you were covered in bruises. Really, really distasteful.
Yeah. That like really drives me crazy. I just don't understand why you would do that. The only thing that I could kind of make sense is if like you yourself are a survivor of abuse and you have decided to make art out of it yourself and like talk about your own experience, maybe, but like someone else's, I don't know. I think that's just
I see what you're saying. If you were to make a look like that inspired by yourself.
Yeah, inspired by yourself, you know, for whatever the, like, you know, when it's your own story, I feel like you can kind of do whatever you want with it because it's your own experience.
I agree with
but
that.
when it's someone else's, like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. Like, that's just so
Super distasteful.
tasteless. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, really bad. I mean, Rihanna, if you are too young to remember, that did happen a long time ago. She wasn't just, you know, punched in the face. No. She was horribly beaten.
Yeah.
Chris Brown bit her fucking ear, dude.
Yeah. It was
really bad. She could have died. I mean, it was terrible. If you've never seen the police report from that, you can look it up, or the pictures of her. I mean, I don't know why you would ever think that it would be anything entertaining or interesting to make a tutorial like that. And people always make the argument like, well, times have changed. This was maybe okay back then, but I don't remember that ever being okay.
What the fuck?
What the hell?
No.
I don't understand.
I don't think that's ever been okay.
Yeah, I don't think it has either. So there was that. And then she also did a tutorial making herself look like the American Airlines passenger who was brutally dragged off a flight. I think that happened in 2018, 2019. I don't remember the year.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when. A few years back, though. And it was brutal as well.
Yeah,
he was in really bad shape. Again, why are you making... And she said it was because of satire reasons. But
because it's viral and she wants to exploit it. And... yeah, I just don't, I'm really frustrated that even happened. I never knew that she did that at the time, but I can't believe that she didn't have to make an apology for that at any point.
Right.
That kind of went under the radar. So imagine being her friend and feeling frustrated about that and like wanting to speak up for years. Right. People don't understand how frustrating it would be to watch someone be so fake to the world when they're, you know, just a completely different person.
Exactly.
She also has a lot of old problematic tweets, some really questionable stuff. One thing, she said that she worked at Mac and experienced racism. Remember, she is white.
You can't experience racism as a white person, by the way.
You'd think that would be understood, but apparently that's a big point of contention people don't get. But she said that, you know, women of color would not want her to match them, which makes total sense. Why would they want a white woman who doesn't understand their complexion to match them?
Right.
You know, if they don't want you to, I mean, don't take it so personally.
Right. God, get over it.
That's not racism. They are experiencing it on their side because they have dealt with being mismatched over and over again, or people that have no idea how to match their skin.
Absolutely. Or brands that don't make foundation colors that match their skin.
Yeah. Exactly. So if it's a sensitive issue and they want someone of color to match them, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, well,
that's definitely not racism. Oh my God. So that is very questionable. But one of the biggest things is that she thinks that she is oppressed and disadvantaged on YouTube for being white and straight.
Yes.
And a woman.
Yeah.
So interesting. That is probably the biggest point people are pissed about is essentially Spanky had told her that she felt like she had experienced discrimination several times and that her channel hadn't grown because of that. She hadn't gotten opportunities because of her skin color. And she was trying to and she had experienced a lot of depression because of this. It's been something that's been hard for her for years. And she was trying to express that to her friend, Mikey, that, you know, here's what it's been like for me. Here's what my experience is. Here's why it's hard. Here's why it's depressing. And I'm struggling to grow my channel, to make this career, whatever. And she's talking to her friend, Mikey, who has 4 million subscribers.
Yeah, 4 million, guys. That's not, you're not doing too bad. You're averaging like 1 million views a video.
Oh, she does very well. And she's dating a really popular YouTuber too, really? Anthony Padilla. Oh. So, and he's might even be more famous than her.
I just think that's the dumbest thing to say. Like, are you literally that tone deaf? If you really think that, can you just please keep that inside?
Yeah, I know. You would think that, but that's what she said to her friend. She said, well, I'm surprised that you're having so many issues because I find it to be the opposite. You know, I find that people of color or gay people often are favored on YouTube and they get to be the most popular, and then basically average white people like me don't get enough views. That's essentially what she told to Spanky.
And she specifically said James Charles and Jeffree Star are at the top of the community because of the fact that they're gay.
Terrible.
Which I'm like,
why would you say that?
What?
Oh my God. And what's so crazy is in reality, they are actually discriminated against. YouTube is known for censoring and demonetizing content that is LGBTQ related, or also Black content creators have sued YouTube. There's a lawsuit against YouTube for their content being suppressed. I have experienced that where cases I've covered on Black victims are suppressed and don't get nearly enough views. And I know that they're suppressing it because I'm talking about police or whatever it is. So I think it's quite the opposite of what she was saying. And I think she needs to be called out. As her friend, I would have been so pissed. And she did say she tried to talk to her and explain why this is problematic, and she would just get defensive and ignore her. And eventually she stopped talking to her. Yeah, completely.
Eventually just stopped talking to her.
So imagine watching her tweet about BLM this spring.
That's
like
so
she must
fucking
just
irritating.
been seething inside, knowing that reality. So I think it's good that this was talked about. I think we are not going to fix the problems in our society when it comes to microaggressions and racism if we don't address them, if we 100%. Don't speak about it, if we don't call it out.
And that's a great point, because I was going to be like, I think a lot of people are saying, well, why can't you just deal with your drama behind closed doors? Why do we need to air out everyone's dirty laundry to the whole internet? Like, what is the point of that? And
which I agree in a lot of situations.
I agree with that in a ton of situations. Yeah. However, this is different, I think, personally, because this whole, you know, what this is about, this racism and, you know, bringing justice to those who are far more disadvantaged, that's a whole, you know, thing in the world. This isn't just like a beauty drama community thing, and that you could have solved. Like the Tati thing, I think could have been dealt with behind closed doors, right?
I totally agree.
But this is like affecting so many people. And I think that just because one Black creator has come out and spoken about this doesn't mean that there are a ton of other Black creators who are also experiencing this same type of frustration. And so I think that it's really important for her to come out and, you know, be a voice for those folks, and, you know, just speak up for what she believes is right and what's wrong. I think that's bullshit, especially if you're a huge creator and you're doing so well and you're like that, you know, in one way. And she was known as being like unproblematic glam and gore. Like she was always known to be like, you know, someone who isn't really causing drama and stuff. And so I feel like that's not fair that you get to have that persona like online, and then behind you're whining because white people are, you know, because gay people are getting better views than you.
And that's what's
that's so dumb.
Sick about the YouTube community, and like how competitive some people can get is imagine having over 4 million subscribers and still not thinking it was enough, and still feeling like someone's, you know, getting more than you, and feeling jealous of them and competitive. And that's so sad to me. Like,
I agree.
I feel like these people need to remember back to what it felt like when you had 100 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, and when you really appreciated each one of those people. I've never, ever felt like, I wish, if only I could be like so-and-so, you know, like, you know, I'm so grateful for the subscribers that I do have. I can't imagine being so like mad and blaming other people for why I'm not successful and
when you are successful. That's the thing.
You are
successful.
And imagine bitching about that to your like friend who's also trying to be a YouTuber and is struggling and has had to restart their channel because they've been so screwed in the past. Like,
right.
You know, why would you complain to them, especially when she said it was on a night that she was having trouble. She was feeling depressed. She reached out to her to be her friend, and that's how she treated her. If that's how she treats her fucking friends.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I know people can change, and
of course,
I hope she has, and I hope she learns from this.
Yeah.
And she did release an apology on like a notepad apology, which by the time that we post this episode, it's possible that she has already like done a video or something, but a lot of people were really mad because it was this really long notepad apology that was mostly focused on herself and how she was in a bad place at the time. And like, it was just it really didn't say much at all. It was long as fuck, but didn't really say a lot. So I really think that for a situation like this, that is really serious, where she could have seriously hurt some of her followers, by, you know, it's hard when you hear something about someone that you idolize. It's heartbreaking. Of
course.
So she probably really hurt some people. And I think you owe them to make a video apology. And if she wants any chance of coming back, she needs to do that and show with her actions that she has changed and really think it out. I think so many YouTubers make the mistake of rushing to make an apology so they can just seem like they've addressed it. But that's just,
well, of course, the anxiety of sitting in your own filth is never great, right? Like the shit you produced and now you have to deal with it. You want to try and sweep it up as fast as possible. But sometimes in order to really learn and to be, you know, someone who can say I've learned from my mistakes and whatnot, you need to sit in that discomfort, because how else are you going to really, you know, learn and really grow as a person? So...
And do you think she's capable of making changes and growing and coming back?
Absolutely. I'm not the type of person who really is like, nope, they're fucked as it is. Like, I really don't believe that. I really do believe that people are capable of good change. Now, obviously, does that happen all the time? No. Some people are just pieces of shit for the whole life.
Yeah. Or they just wait till the hate dies down and then they come back and try to just act like nothing happened.
Right. But
which I
don't know. I feel like that's getting harder and harder to do nowadays.
Yeah, it is. That's true. That's the one good thing about, you know, cancel culture, is that we are holding people accountable for serious situations like this. Yeah. Which I wouldn't really even consider this cancel culture.
No, this is like not even, this is like so different than YouTube drama. I think this is much bigger. Like we said, I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement in general is so much bigger than YouTube. So this is something that's really needs to be talked about on many platforms, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But let us know what you guys think. We might have an update on that next week. But yeah, that's it for Spicy Topics today. All right, you ready to get spooky?
Let's get spooky, guys. I'm going to read my story first.
Oh, I thought I was reading first.
Right. Kendall has 3 and I have 2. So you are going to go first.
Yeah, I got 3 because I could not narrow it down. I really liked, but they're kind of short. They're pretty short. So
I'm excited.
All right, here we go. All right, so first of all, we're going to be going way back in history to 356 BC and Alexander the Great. Do you know who he is?
Yes, I've heard of him.
Do you know
anything about him?
No? Okay. So Alexander the Great, also known as Alexander the Third, was born in Palella, Macedonia in 356 BC to King Philip II and Queen Olympias. Although legend has it that his father was actually Zeus, the ruler of the Greek gods. Okay. So that's why Alexander the Great is kind of famous, is he was thought to have possibly been half man, half god. He's kind of like Hercules.
Oh shit, Hercules.
Would have been like Herc. So by 323 BC, Alexander was the head of an enormous empire, and he was like in his 20s at this time. And he had also just recovered from the devastating loss of his friend. And I can't really figure out how to say his name. I think it's Hephaestion, like Sebastian, but like Hephaestion.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, he was rumored to be one of Alexander's homosexual male lovers.
So was Alexander known to be part of the LGBTQ community?
Yeah, he was part of that community for sure. I don't know how for sure that is though. Right. Like there's a lot of rumors about Alexander the Great. This is so fucking old.
Well, plus back then it was a big no-no.
I don't know how it was in their society.
Actually,
though.
That's true. Yeah.
It's old enough that it may have been like fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. We're clearly really good at history, which by the way, we actually kind of want to do some drunk history episodes. You guys will have to let us know if you want to see that. Yeah. It would be like a fun, lighthearted take on history.
Right.
Anyway, shortly after this, only a few years later, Alexander the Great died in June of 323 BC. So it was like pretty much the same year that his friend died. So he was really sad. And he wasn't 20. He was 32 by this point.
Okay.
He was a ruler in his 20s. But
Got it.
He died at 32.
Which is like pretty old for back then, I feel like.
Yeah, it was oldish.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's not really determined what exactly he died from. A bunch of different historians have tried to figure it out. Obviously, it was so old, they had no idea what the fuck he died from. So
they didn't have a medical examiner?
No, didn't have the medical examiner. They did, but they weren't good. So he possibly could have died of malaria. It could have been other natural causes like heart attack or something like that. But a lot of people believe that he was poisoned. And he suffered in bed for 12 days. He had excruciating suffering, actually. It was really bad. And eventually he did die. So we don't know exactly why he died.
Okay.
So story goes that when he was buried, that they didn't see any signs of decomposition for 6 days. Like, I don't know, like, if they were digging him up and checking or what.
Yeah, I was like, so they found him and left him there, and we're like, we'll check back tomorrow, boys, see if things have changed.
I honestly don't understand that part. I have no idea how they knew that he wasn't decomposing. But that's the story, that he wasn't decomposing. And that went along with their whole theory that he's half God and he, like, is immortal.
Okay.
And they were kind of like, oh, shit. And they were thinking about, like, digging him out at one point. They were like, let's take him back out. You know, like, he's probably fine. He's a god. He's come back to life.
Sorry, buddy. My bad.
But they decided against that because on the 6th day, he finally did start decomposing. They could smell him and see it and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So that's when they figured out, that he was dead. So now it's been debated back and forth again, why did he die though? What killed him? And people have tried to figure it out. So recently, there is a new theory that was presented by Dr. Catherine Hall. And I got this from the History Channel. There's an article on it. But she has an idea that maybe the reason he wasn't decomposing is because he wasn't dead yet. And not because he was a god, but because he was actually just paralyzed and unconscious.
Oh my fucking God. What?
Yes. Okay. So
was he paralyzed? Like because wasn't he sick for like a week before or whatever? Was he paralyzed then?
No, they think that he went and he became paralyzed right before he died, and they thought that was him being dead.
Oh my God.
And they could have been unconscious as well, or unable to open his eyes. Now, let me tell you why. So Dr. Hall thinks that it's possible that he had something called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is known as GBS today. People have it. It's not like a super unknown thing. But back then they obviously had no idea that this existed. And this is a neurological disorder where the nerves in your body essentially kind of disconnect from your muscles. So you're not able to use them.
So including paralyzes you basically.
Mm-hmm. Can paralyze you to a certain degree. I think there's treatments and stuff for today. I'm not super familiar with how it is today, but it's possible that so some of his symptoms that he suffered from were fever, abdominal pain, progressive, symmetrical, and ascending paralysis. So it just slowly went down.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, that sucks. It slowly paralyzes your body little by little.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's very scary. So, however, he had remained compos mentis, which means fully in control mentally before his death. And they had written that down, that he was not like losing it. Even though he was losing control of his body, he was completely mentally fine.
Gotcha.
And Dr. Hall thinks that this combination of symptoms fits GBS better than any of the other theories that people have come up with. And she thinks that he may have contracted this disorder from an infection, and the infection carried a variant of GBS, which produced the paralysis, and it can also cause confusion and unconsciousness.
Oh,
so he could have been paralyzed and unconscious.
Wait, so he was buried?
Quite possible he could have been buried alive and seen his own funeral or heard it.
Oh my God. Could you imagine sitting in your casket and they're like, yes, Joe Blow was a great man. You're like, no, Joe Blow's still alive, motherfucker, let me out.
What if he could hear it? They always say even when people are dying that the hearing is the last thing to go.
Oh my God,
it's possible he could have been unconscious and just in a coma and
just
heard it all.
And in his mind, he's like, fuck,
he's like
fuck.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and it's really bad. And because the way that they used to check if people were alive was by seeing if they were breathing, just by looking at them or checking the pulse. And I'm not sure how the pulse thing would have worked, but
Right.
the breathing, she said that his body probably was needing less oxygen as it's shut down, which would have made, his breathing less visible. So they could have eventually just not seen it because he was in a coma, and his pulse could have been really faint as well, that they just didn't pick it up.
Plus, once you are under the impression someone's dead, you're not like recheck like they're dead, right? Like,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh my God.
He wasn't moving, and
Oh my God.
so yeah, it's kind of fucking crazy. So Alexander the Great could have been buried alive.
That's fucked up.
I know,
I
it's like my
can't
biggest fear.
imagine that. Same. Oh my God.
I can't.
Was he in
even
a
handle
coffin?
that. I have no idea.
Oh my God. What if he was in a coffin for like 6 days alive?
He probably was in a coffin if they were able to like dig him up and stuff. Yeah. What else would have been in? Just buried him, just his body.
I don't know.
No, I'm sure he had a really elaborate funeral and
my
coffin and
God.
everything. He was, hailed.
And they kept checking, like, hey, buddy, why aren't you decomposing? Hey, buddy,
that's what I can't
why don't you smell like ass still? Like, what's going on?
I'm so confused. I have no idea why they were checking. He could have, maybe they didn't bury him yet.
Yeah.
Or no, they did. They did bury him.
Yeah, they
I don't
buried
know.
him.
They must have dug him up and checked on him.
What? That doesn't even make sense. Maybe they like put him in like a little cave or something.
I have no idea, honestly. So that's a mystery. It's just a theory. It may not be true.
My God, that is so weird.
But she's a doctor, and a lot of people, the History Channel seems to think it's real. So
I mean, it makes sense if he was
does make
having all the
sense.
symptoms for it. And obviously they didn't know what that was back then. So it could be.
Exactly. So what do you got for us?
Okay, so this story is about a beast.
Ooh, a beast.
Beast. Okay, so it takes place in a region of southern France called Gévaudan or Gévaudan. So the town of Gévaudan was, and I'm probably pronouncing that so wrong, sorry, but apparently it was like a very quiet and secluded, very mountainous region in southern France. But apparently between 1764 to 1767, Gévaudan was tormented by a wolf-like beast that mauled over 300 people, mostly women and children, which is interesting. So I guess the first recorded sightings were back in 1764 when a young woman tending to cattle was approached by the beast. Luckily for her, the bulls that she was tending to were able to drive off the beast and she was unharmed. But then the next victim of the sighting was not so lucky. So shortly after, in that same year, a teenager named Jean Boult, I believe her name is. I don't know. They're all French names, and I'm very sorry to all of our French listeners. I apologize. Jean Boult. I don't know. But she was reportedly attacked and killed by the beast. So over 100 deaths were attributed to the beast attacked, most with their throats and chests ripped out by something with sharp teeth and claws.
Oh, shit.
Yes. So obviously, as these people started dying, news caught quick, and everyone was like, holy shit, there's a giant monster running around killing a bunch of people. And they described this beast wolf-like creature as this russet dude with black fur and a wide chest and then a huge mouth and sharp teeth, like we had talked about. So at first, the locals around the area were like, holy shit, we need to figure out what's going on and try and kill this guy. So about 30,000 volunteers came in and tried to hunt and kill the beast. And they even offered a reward equal to a year's salary for most of the population of the town to whoever was able to kill it. But despite this, the attacks did not stop and they kept going. And the problem got so bad that it attracted the attention of King Louis XV. And he actually sent 2 professional wolf hunters out to kill the beast. And they spent 4 months hunting for the wolf.
Professional wolf hunters.
Yeah,
Was
right?
that like a position? Was that an occupation?
Yes, I'm a professional wolf hunter.
Yeah, PWH.
Oh my God. But yeah, so they went around and looked through all the mountainous terrain. And I guess it was like a really difficult area to navigate. But again, unsuccessful. So
Not even the professions could do it.
No, the king was like, all right, fuck you guys. So he removed them from the town and instead sent his own bodyguard in. Francisco.
He's like, yeah, let Francisco handle
Yeah,
it.
he's like, you know what? It's fine. So he went in and I guess he had a team of men as well. And they were able to successfully shoot and kill a wolf that was 31 inches tall and 5 feet 7 inches long. So pretty big.
Damn. And that's huge.
Right? Pretty big. And they were like, okay, this is probably, the thing. So the king rewarded them and was like, good job, boys. And for a short time, it seemed like the attacks kind of stopped. So they were like, okay, good. It was the giant wolf. We're good to go.
What the fuck?
However, relief did not last long, people. Okay.
Oh, no.
Just shortly, a few months after, the attack started up again, and each description of the beast became more and more fascinating than the last, I guess. And also like very almost like mythical in a way. Like, is this really happening? We don't know. So some sightings claimed Some sightings claimed that the beast had supernatural abilities and could walk on its hind legs, or was actually part wolf, part man hybrid. And eventually locals banded together to try and solve the problem once and for all, because it was just killing a bunch of people. Like hundreds of people were dying, and they were like, this is ridiculous. We got to get this shit together. So a local farmer named Gene Chastel was serving prison time, but I guess he was released and to help, hunt for this beast. So they were like literally taking people out of prison to try and help kill this giant beast. And this guy, Gene, actually ended up shooting and killing a giant wolf, and is credited with finally ending the killings once and for all. Here's the part's kind of crazy is, I guess after they caught this, big wolf, they opened up the beast and a ton of human remains were found inside of it.
That is disgusting.
No, it's so gross.
I guess probably like bones and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess it was just like lots of human remains. So it was very clear that he was going on a kill spree. But then of course, we're not 100% sure if this is a true story. Mm-hmm. Obviously things get twisted throughout the years, and this happened in the 1700s. So it could totally be a fable, but people are still kind of debating today on what's going on, and if that really was the beast, or if it was just a giant wolf pack maybe that was attacking a bunch of people and they thought it was one specific beast. But
wow,
pretty creepy.
That's interesting. I had never heard of that.
I know, I'd never heard of it either.
Love a good cryptid tale.
It kind of reminds me of Twilight, the giant wolves. Like that's what I kept picturing.
It's like
Jacob's running around destroying everyone. But yeah, that's my first story. That's the more mild one. My other one's a little bit more creepy,
a little
folks.
Darker.
So
that's pretty creepy.
I know, especially when they opened it up. I was like, okay,
that's pretty sick. Okay, all right. So I picked this next one because I thought it would be interesting for Janelle, since you probably know a little bit about Mr. Pavlov, huh?
Yes, Pavlov.
Yeah. So if you don't know who Ivan Pavlov is, he was a Russian physiologist who was mainly known for his work in classical conditioning. Mm-hmm. You learned about him in school. If you guys didn't know, Janelle was a psychology major and actually got her master's in clinical psychology as well. So you had to learn quite a bit about all of these different experiments and these guys, but I don't know if you've heard this shit.
Yes. However, my master's was not in clinical psych. It was in counseling. So I'm not a master in psychology.
Clinical counseling.
Yes.
Sorry. I always fuck that up.
It's okay. It's okay. I just don't want people to be like, oh, you're a psychologist. I ain't not that. Okay?
Yeah. Sorry. Clinical counseling. But yes, you did have to learn about them.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're familiar with a lot of these crazy experiments. And Janelle has taught me a lot about these experiments over the years and some crazy shit that's been done.
Dude, back in the day, you could do any type of experiment. Like, no one gave a shit about anything.
Not at all.
Like, psychologists were doing whack shit all the time with, like, really bad outcomes, like devastating outcomes and stuff.
Horrible.
And people
horrific.
were like,
yeah, whatever. We should maybe do an episode on some crazy experiments. Yeah, let us know if you guys would be interested in that. But here is one of them. This one is pretty crazy. So Ivan Pavlov did a lot of work on dogs, and that was really what he was known for.
Yes.
I'm sure you learned about the bell and the food and everything like that. So basically what he would do is he knew that in the presence of food that dogs would salivate, and that's how he would measure their brain reaction to something, a stimuli happening. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I can explain this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It sounds stupid. But he also figured out soon that that the dogs would salivate just if someone came in the room holding the food. It wasn't even just the sight of it or the smell of it. And then eventually just the person alone could trigger the response. Now, how did he measure how much each dog was salivating? Do you know?
I don't know that actually, or maybe I learned it and forgot. I want to hear it. How?
Well, it seems pretty harmless, right? The dogs get food. He gets to test them. Everyone wins, right? And they rang a little bell and he would see their reaction and their brain and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So he actually measured it in a really fucked up way. He would surgically implant devices into their throat.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this?
I do remember learning about this. I remember being like, what the hell on earth?
It's disgusting. He would put these things in their throat, and they're not small little devices. They're like, they almost fill your whole trachea.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So he would put this on the dogs, and then it would slowly measure the saliva that they would create, the saliva. But here's the really fucked up thing. And yes, it's very upsetting that they did this to dogs. Can't believe that. You know, anything went back then, like you said.
Yeah,
there was really no
that's
regulation.
pretty like normal back then. People were doing some crazy shit with animals back then.
But here's what's really shocking is he did this same experiment to kids. Did you know that?
I did know that. Yes.
That is insane.
Yes.
So he would surgically implant these devices into kids. Now, who the fuck would sign up to have their kid do this, right? Well, nobody. So they had to find some kids. So Ivan Pavlov actually purchased kids from an orphanage. He would
Really?
purchase
I did not know
orphans
that.
no one cared about them. So
Oh
he
my
would use
God.
them. And yeah, this is pretty fucked up. But he would put these devices into their throats. He would surgically
That's how he
put
got
them
them?
in. Yes.
Well, I guess that makes sense. How are you going to get the kids?
He bought them, straight up purchased them.
Wow.
Almost like slaves for testing. It was terrible. So it's from a Russian orphanage, all these kids. And then he would put them out, do surgery on them, put in these devices. And there's an x-ray. I'll put it on the screen. I'll have Janelle put it on that shows the device in their throat. And it's huge. Like you could barely like function with one of these in. Like I'm pretty sure the rest of their lives were just terrible until they eventually died.
Yeah.
Unless they took them out, I'm not sure. But yeah, they would bring in like a cookie and see if that would make them salivate. And then they would just collect all the saliva and see like, what, you know, yeah.
What stimuli is making them.
Which is like, what is the fucking point? Yeah. People salivate when they're hungry. Wow. So worth it. And guess what? They found nothing from this shit. His results were inconclusive.
That's so typical.
Didn't find anything.
That's like the most typical shit on earth for a psych like experiment. Inconclusive results.
Yep. After all of that. And during it, he would literally tape their mouths open.
Wow.
Yeah. And then instead
like
of a
how
bell,
my school and all
they
like
would squeeze
the
their
program.
wrists.
What?
Yeah. Instead of a bell, which is not that bad, but still.
Still, that's like,
It's fucking sick.
stop touching them. That's mean.
I know.
It's honestly crazy how times have changed because you can't do like anything experimental to humans in that regard specifically. You can obviously there's experiments done with humans. That's how we find research. That's how we do research. But God, the laws and regulations put in. Like,
Yeah, it's
that would
voluntary
never,
now,
well,
right?
of course, it's
They don't
voluntary.
kidnap people.
but
Well, as far as we know.
as far as we know, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, for real. But yes, obviously, and there's regulations and you can't put things in people's throats and ruin their lives. And sorry, you might die from this. Like that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy though?
Wow.
I was
like how my
blown
school
away.
just like didn't bother to tell us about that.
Right.
Like
I've always heard about the dog thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the
that's like-
bell.
oh, that's so yeah.
I learned that in a psychology class, but I did not hear about how they measured the saliva and that they did it to kids.
I did not know
Small
that.
little detail.
I knew they did it to kids. I did not know that they fucking bought their kids from that from the orphanage. That's so psycho. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, how else are you going to get the kids? No one else is going to volunteer their kid to do that.
No, definitely not. So pretty fucked up. All right, what do you got for us now?
All right, moving right along, folks. Okay, so little backstory here. I think it was like your first Crime-tober or Freak Week.
Second Freak Week.
Was it the second Freak
I
Week?
think that we did Carl Tanzler.
Yeah, she knows that it has to do with Carl Tanzler, who, if you guys are not aware of, was a story about this man who basically kept his wife around for a long time. And
I have a video on it if you want to see it.
his deceased wife, I should add, not his alive wife. Yeah, and did some pretty questionable stuff with her body. It's creepy. So this is kind of along the lines of the same idea. This is about a man named Anatoly Moskvin. Again, sure I'm mispronouncing that. I apologize. But he was a Russian male who was actually a journalist, and he traveled a lot and taught in college. He was pretty like self-proclaimed and even dubbed himself as a necropolist, which I believe is like an expert or someone who partakes.
No, I think it's someone who
has sex with
bodies.
yeah, that's necrophilia. I'm not sure if this is like a polist is someone who's like a professional in that field, or maybe he did it himself.
A professional in that field.
I don't know, but
What the hell?
that's what he dubbed himself as. So,
okay. He made himself that.
Yeah, he said he was that. But yeah, he was pretty like good world traveler. He was pretty smart. And in 2011, the historian, this man, was arrested after the bodies of 29 girls between the ages of 3 and 25 were found mummified in his apartment.
Oh, shit.
So let's go ahead and get into the story. So let's see here. In his last article published back in 2011, Moskvin divulged how a group of men in black suits stopped him on the way home from school back when he was a kid. So he's kind of talking about his childhood here. And apparently they were going to a funeral of an 11-year-old Natasha Petrova. And I guess these men dragged little young Anatoly along to her coffin and forced him to kiss the girl's corpse.
Ew.
Yeah. So right
hell?
from a young age, he was kind of like forced into dealing with this world of dead bodies. And I guess the quote goes, "I kissed her once, then again, then again. The girl's grieving mother then put a wedding ring on my finger and a wedding ring on hers."
Okay, what the shit?
Mm-hmm.
These people are insane.
"My strange marriage with Natasha was useful," he said, "and it led to a belief in magic and ultimately a fascination in the dead." So he began to wander through cemeteries as a schoolboy growing up as well. After, I think he kind of means that like that whole, thing with Natasha, kissing her and everything was kind of like the spark that created his obsession with death.
Yeah, I would say that was probably it.
Yeah. So
Because we know from psychology as well that experiences you have when you're, young, when you're a child.
oh yeah, they mean a lot of shit.
Yeah.
They can really kind of, form
Shape the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. So when he was in school, he was walking through cemeteries and he took detailed notes of each one of the bodies that were buried there and kind of dove into the histories of them and why they were dead and where they came from and all that stuff. I guess he walked up to 20 miles a day, sometimes sleeping on hay bales and drinking rainwater from puddles in these cemeteries. So he was an odd man for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Drinking from the puddles.
Mm-hmm. And at one point, he even spent the night sleeping in a coffin ahead of a deceased person's funeral.
Oh, that's nice. A nice
Wanted to
cozy
try it out.
Yeah.
He's like, well, before you get to go in there, I want to go in.
Get to take a little nap in there.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right, so here's where it gets juicy. Back in 2009, locals began to discover the graves of their loved ones were being messed up, and like someone was digging them up and taking the bodies, and this was happening a lot. And so for nearly 2 years, graves were being dug up, and no one knew what was going on, and no one could figure out like if it was a person, if it was an animal, like
Not
what.
like you can install a camera.
Yeah, right. So like what was going on in these, various cemeteries around this area. Well, then in 2011, authorities heard reports of Muslim graves being violated, and investigators were led to a cemetery where someone was painting over the pictures of dead Muslims but not damaging anything else. So again, just very like weirdness going on about, dead people in cemeteries and stuff like that. And this is when Moskvin was finally caught. 8 police officers went to his apartment after they apprehended him at the graves. They found him at the graves hanging out, obviously. And when they went to his apartment, they were shocked at what they found. So by this time, he was a 45-year-old man, and he was still living with his parents in a small apartment. And inside, authorities found life-sized doll-like figures throughout the apartment.
Oh, no.
And they were like, oh, this is weird. These dolls like resemble really antique, super old dolls. And
They're like, oh, this is cool.
yeah, like, wow, he's an antique collector. How cool is that? Where do you shop for these dolls, sir? They wore fine and varied clothing. Some wore knee-high boots. Others had makeup over faces. Some had their faces covered in fabric. I guess he also like hid their hands in fabric. I don't really know what that's about. But here's the thing about these dolls. They weren't dolls.
Yeah.
They were
I
mummified
figured.
corpses of human girls.
Oh, that's fresh.
So when the police moved one of the bodies, it played music.
What?
Inside the chest of many of the dolls, he had assembled music boxes.
Oh, no. Mm-hmm.
And
literally made them into dolls. Mm-hmm. Oh, I suddenly just got really nauseous.
yep, so that they could produce music whenever he touched them. In addition, they also found in his house tons of like photographs and plaques taken off of the gravestones, doll making manuals, a map of local cemeteries, all about the apartment. I mean, this guy was... And also the clothes that the mummified corpses were wearing were the ones that they were buried in. So he just like kept them in their clothes.
Oh, that is so gross.
Yeah. So also there were personal belongings inside some of the mummies. One mummy had a piece of her own gravestone with her name carved in it inside her body.
What the fuck? Who even thinks of that?
No. Another one contained a hospital tag with the date and cause of the girl's death. A drained human heart was found inside the third body.
Oh, that's so sick.
And he admitted that he would stuff these corpses with rags and then would wrap nylon tights around their faces and or fashion doll faces onto their already dead faces. And he would even insert buttons or toy eyes into the girl's sockets so that he could, quote, watch cartoons.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That is so much worse than Creepy Carl.
I know.
Wow.
It
This
is
guy
pretty...
Moskvin, he's bad.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. So was he like using formaldehyde or something to preserve their bodies?
No, he was actually just using a little bit of simple solution of salt and baking soda.
What?
Yeah, that's what he said.
And that was preserving them?
Yeah.
So he was like paper macheing them kind of.
Because
he was using the cloth over their... Oh, he was paper macheing them. Oh, that is so sick.
That's great. Well,
that is
that's wonderful that we just figured that out. A little art project, if you will.
Oh my God.
But I guess he like really loved his girls. He said like he really cared about them. Girls. Yeah, he called them his girls.
Oh no.
And he said that he would dig up graves because he was lonely.
Ew, imagine if you were a ghost and you're just watching this. Like, what are you doing to my body, bro?
Yeah, well, I guess his biggest dream was to have, kids of his own, but I guess he wasn't allowed to adopt them because he couldn't afford to, and so he decided this was the best route.
What? That is insane. Oh, how many did he have?
Like hundreds, I think. Or no, actually, it says specifically it was 29 girls. Oh, sorry, not hundreds. I lied.
That is sick.
29 girls in a tiny little apartment, though. Like that's so scary.
Crazy. Imagine when they figured that out. They're like looking around, like, oh, check out these cool dolls, and he's like, oh no, they're alive. They're humans' bodies. Yeah. Oh my God.
And I guess like he would celebrate their birthdays with them because he knew when they died. Because on your gravestone,
they're his kids. You'd celebrate your kids' birthdays,
right? When you're kids, so you would celebrate all your birthdays. But then I guess apparently there were like some few dolls that he was like not into anymore, and they just like found like thrown away in the garage. So he would like.
Ew.
He like decided he was like over some of them, which I was like,
oh my God,
how
that
rude.
is disgusting. And imagine if you were one of those families and you found out that that's what happened to your dead loved one. They like got dug up. Mm-hmm. At least he wasn't killing them as well. Mm-hmm. He was taking them after they were already dead. So we'll give him a little bit of credit for that.
That's true. He's not a murderer. That's great.
It's disgusting.
Well, okay, but he lived with his parents, and his parents were like, I don't know anything about this.
What?
We have no idea.
Oh, yeah, I forgot the parents were living there.
Living there. And they claimed to have no idea.
Fuck?
And I guess in an apartment, people who lived around him kind of reported there being like smells and shit, but they were like, oh, we never thought anything of it. Could you imagine how bad it would smell to have like 30
And this was an apartment.
It was an apartment.
There was probably like
one of the
venting.
corpse. Yeah, exactly. To be able to, you like all share the same air
That is
theoretically.
So sick.
And one of the corpse, dude, he kept for 9 years.
Oh my gosh. Imagine how spicy that would be.
Oh my God, it's so bad. They all ranged from ages 3 to 25. So we had like a nice little range going on.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was really bad. So obviously police were not cool with this, and he was charged. Not cool. He was charged with a bunch of crimes. Mm-hmm. And the Russian media started calling him the Lord of the Mummies.
Oh, that's kind of so funny. Gross.
And then in court, he confessed to 44 counts of abusing graves and dead bodies. And he said that the victims' parents, he said to them, you abandoned your girls. I brought them home and warmed them up.
What the fuck? That's insane.
He's like, hey, I did you a favor. You're just leaving them in the ground to die alone.
So he obviously had some mental issues.
Yeah, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he was sentenced to time in a psychiatric ward following his sentencing. But I guess as of September 2018, he was allowed to leave the psychiatric ward and go to his home to continue treatment there.
Okay. Hopefully he has a parole person or someone who's making sure he doesn't do this shit again.
I don't know. Psychiatrists say that he's now in his early 50s and that he's improving. And he allegedly told authorities to not bother reburying the girls too deeply, as he would simply unbury them when he was released.
Don't you think you should get some jail time for that?
I do.
I understand he's mentally ill.
Isn't that that's obvious.
It's a crime.
Well, yeah. And so I guess he was, convicted, but I agree. I mean, I think that he definitely could use some psychiatric help as well, but I don't know if...
I think that's not enough time to rehab, in my opinion.
Well, literally the fact that he's right now saying, don't bother burying them too deep because I'm just going to go find them when I get the chance to. Like, he's obviously...
That's really, really scary.
Yeah.
So, he's not released, but he's going to be released soon.
Well, I don't know what release really means. Like release, I don't know if he's in the ward, but he's still under like psychiatric care at his house.
Oh yeah, he's getting it at home.
Yeah. I'm not really sure like what his actual deal is at this exact moment.
That is terrifying. Hopefully they keep an eye on him.
Right?
That is really creepy.
I know.
Ugh. So, okay, my last one is another history one.
Okay.
We're going back in time again. So now we're going back to 1495. Not too far back, only a couple hundred years. And I picked this one because I thought this was very fitting for 2020 and us all living through a pandemic in our lifetime. Is if you think Corona is bad, no.
Oh,
things
really?
could be much, much worse for us.
Okay.
And here's why we should be thankful that coronavirus is...
Oh, so this
what
is
we're
going to make
dealing
us
with.
thankful for Corona?
we should be.
Thanks, Corona.
We should be thankful that it's not as bad as this shit. Because have you heard of the Renaissance zombies?
No.
This is insane. So back in 1495, troops under the command of French King Charles VIII attacked the city of Naples, Italy. Okay. These are where my ancestors were from, so they could have been there.
Shit.
I know, very scary. So obviously it was brutal war. And some of these troops were actually known to be on the expedition with Christopher Columbus. So they had just gotten done, just pillaging America.
Right.
And
finding
all the
America,
Native
aka
Americans.
destroying everyone who's indigenous and was here first. Got it.
Yeah, which, by the way, we really wanted to do a Christopher Columbus episode,
Yeah.
and we forgot. We were going to do it for Columbus Day and just drag his ass, but apparently we forgot about it. So we'll have to do that next
we're going
year.
to do that because nothing makes me happier than dragging his bitch ass.
And people really need to know the truth about him. I mean, some people know, but did they know the full extent? This guy was a loser.
Yeah, to say the least.
He didn't even make it to America.
I know.
He went to the Bahamas.
I know.
And he thought he was in America.
Stupid ass.
And that's why he called the Native American people Indians, fun fact, because he actually thought he was
in India.
Yeah. So he was dumb. Anyway.
What,
so
you mean you didn't have
they-
Google Maps? Fucking Christopher, you dumb bitch. Just kidding.
Christopher Columbus.
Christopher Columbus.
Anyway, he was known for bringing all types of disease with his, troops of people into the Native American lands and killing millions. I mean, did you actually know it was the biggest genocide ever? It was the most people that ever died from one thing.
I believe that, no doubt. I can 100% see that being real.
It's crazy. I mean, between the people they murdered and raped and enslaved and then, spreading disgusting STDs. It was just really, really bad.
God, white people just really doing some work.
Exactly. So some of those guys went back home and they went on this expedition again under French King Charles to Naples. So they were there. And they also brought that disease from America now to Naples. So they had this crazy outbreak of syphilis.
Oh,
Yeah.
The Sif.
The Sif. Except for the Sif was a lot
I was going to say
worse
Sif's
back
like
then.
not that bad, right?
No.
People get
It was
syphilis all the time.
Bad.
It was bad.
This was like a different strain of it or something. It was horrible. It was way worse than the modern one that we know today. It was like a mutated, fucked up version.
Ooh.
So how this happened was first it broke out among the troops. So they were the first ones to get sick. But it takes 2 to 6 weeks to see symptoms of it. So meanwhile, they're infecting a bunch of prostitutes that were the Naples locals.
Yeah.
So the prostitutes then went and brought it to the rest of the community. And before anyone knew, in a couple weeks, tons of people had this.
Damn.
And they basically turned into walking zombies, dude. It was horrific.
Really?
So, yeah. The first symptoms are large, disgusting, foul-smelling ulcers all over your body. This can be on your face, your stomach, your boobs, wherever they go. Yeah.
Ew, it smelled bad?
Yeah. They
Ew,
smelled.
that,
They're
like,
like
really
rotting
bothers me.
skin.
Oh my fucking.
All over. There's like drawings of this because obviously there were no cameras.
Right,
but
right.
There's some fucked up drawings that people took or did back then.
Ew, that would probably hurt. Your skin's just rotting.
Yeah, it hurts. But back then it was kind of like people got sick
What are you
and
gonna do?
horrible disease and you just kind of ride it out and hope you survive.
Right.
So that's what people were doing. They also had really bad fevers and eventually these were clearing up. people thought that they were healed. It would go away. But then this specific type of syphilis would come back, and then it would come back way worse. And when it would come back, you would end up having really bad pain, like joint pain and stuff like that. Horrible, horrible fever. And then it would start to eat away at some of your bone. So this was leaving
While
people
you're alive?
Disfigured.
Oh
yes.
my God. Wait, so it's like coming from the inside or the outside in?
Yeah.
Ew. So it's literally
know.
like flesh eating, like 100%, like bone
Flesh
eating and
eating
everything.
and bone eating. The second round of it, if you like got it again, because it would come back even stronger the second time.
Oh my!
So it would go through your bone. So people would have like these horrible disfigurations, like parts of their face would be missing, like around their eyes, or people's whole noses would be eaten away, and they would just have these gaping holes in the middle of their faces.
Ew.
I know, it was horrible. And obviously, like they're all spreading it. They're all, barely washing their hands, like not cleaning their wounds correctly.
Not wearing masks.
Yeah,
not
definitely
social
not
distancing.
100% not social distancing. And it was really, really bad. So eventually people's skin started to fall off of their faces, some people. So it literally looked like walking skeletons. Oh my God. Like imagine living in Naples at this time. This broke out like crazy. People are walking around the community. Like some people didn't even have homes. So they're just on the street like this. Like, can you imagine how fucking wild it would be to live in this time?
What the fuck,
We think it's bad that we have to wear masks and social distance.
Yeah.
At least there's not someone rotting of coronavirus on the ground. Okay? At least we have hospitals and medicine. Okay? We got to get some perspective. This was bad.
God.
Like good luck for your genitals, because that's where it started.
God.
So they were
It starts?
completely disfigured and destroyed. Their
That's
wieners
like
and stuff.
Oh my God. It ate your
not good.
wieners.
Yeah, and your vagina.
Oh no, that's terrible. It's like a yeast infection on steroids.
Yeah, it's horrible, horrible. There's pictures of it if you want to look them up.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
wanna
if Janelle
see them.
will overlay them. We'll
I'll
have to see
overlay
if
them.
she decides to.
If they're not too bad, I will.
They're pretty bad.
If
But they're
they
just
are, I'll-
drawings, so.
Ew, that's so disgusting.
So, yeah, this eventually spreads to your heart and your lungs and destroys you from the inside out, essentially. And people died. Horrible deaths.
So was it like guaranteed death? Like there's no coming back from this shit?
I don't know if it was completely guaranteed, but I think most of the time, because, yeah, it was, I mean,
you
if you
just-
did come back, you were disfigured as fuck, and it was not good.
Right. You're not just gonna like regrow a penis.
No.
Right.
Or your nose. Like,
Right.
straight up.
Just gone.
Really, really bad.
Oh,
Let me just
wow.
pull these up and show you real fast. You got to see it.
So, okay. So it started from the genitals. So was it like low-key an STD?
Yeah, it is an STD.
Okay,
it's
so
syphilis.
It was syphilis. Okay, so
It was
I know
the
you,
syphilis.
I
It's
know
just
you
not
said
as
that,
bad
but
as
I'm
it
just
is
having a hard
now.
time actually connecting the
And
two
now we
syphili.
have treatments and stuff. But like, here's an example.
Oh my God. That doesn't even look real.
Yeah, I know. So eventually we did come out with a cure for syphilis, but it wasn't until 1943. I know. Luckily, people weren't getting this bad of a version. This was like some mutated, fucked up
some
version.
weird
Something
thing.
weird happened.
Wow.
But for the most part, people were just getting it as a normal STD, which is still not good. It's still not good.
Yeah.
By any means.
Still not good.
But at least they weren't like disfiguring their faces and eating their bones. But penicillin is actually the cure for.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm allergic to that. So
Are you?
If I get syphilis, I guess I'm screwed. Just kidding. Yeah, that first came on the market in 1943.
Wow.
So that's the story of the Renaissance
That
zombies.
is really sweet. I hope you have a good night. Good night. Sleep
Yeah.
tight.
Hopefully you enjoyed that one. This was definitely
Ew.
a quite yummy episode, wasn't it?
Delicious. But honestly, okay, while we were picking these topics, I kept being like, this is like some diet stuff compared to what we normally
Yeah.
talk about, which is kind of funny how we were talking about earlier, like how far back does something have to happen to where we're like kind of removed from it and we can like joke about it,
Yeah.
which we kind of been doing now. So
Right. If there was a village that got this outbreak today, like somewhere in the
Yeah.
world, there was just like a horrible zombie,
my
we
God.
would not be thinking it's at all funny or
No.
laughing in any way. But
oh no,
yeah,
that
it
would
is
be
kind of
very
when
sad.
something's far enough removed, you can poke fun at history a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you have to at some point.
Yeah.
Like
Come on.
people are gonna make fun of the coronavirus forever, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
God, when we're all dead, people are gonna be like, LOL, those idiots running around arguing about whether or not to social distance.
I know. Or whether that's so crazy that we're even arguing about
Right?
that.
Why are we arguing about this?
Or wearing a mask.
just fucking put it on.
Imagine back then people would be like, listen, bitches, put your mask on. If that's going to protect you, put your fucking mask on. But That's it for Spooky Sesh this week. We are going to be doing a Spooky Sesh next week. Kind of different though. We actually were hoping that you guys would submit some of your own personal scary stories of things that have happened to you. And we're going to read a few of those, just a few of them, of our favorite ones on the show. So you can go ahead and submit those to us at submit@milehigher.com. And yeah, we'll pick a few of our favorite ones to read that spooked us out the most. We're also going to be doing a little pumpkin carving contest ourselves.
Yes.
Hopefully, if Josh will let us. We might get shut down. He thinks it's too messy for the studio, of course.
I know, but I feel like if we can, have the right tools, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everything will be
fine. It'll be fine. Okay, it's fine. But also be sure to tag us on Instagram and Twitter and use the hashtag Spooky Sesh for our upcoming episode when it comes to our pumpkin carving, our costumes as far as humans and animals. And also, if you guys have an extra moment, be sure to head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and subscribe and follow there. It really helps us out. Again, our numbers aren't affected by YouTube at all. It only matters through audio. So if you want to help out the show, we really, really appreciate that. That is all for us. Thank you guys so much. We will see you on the next sesh. But until then, keep it fresh.